Hey guys, in this video I am giving you my first trimester symptoms by week. So I was just going to do kind of a first trimester update, and then I was thinking, and each week kind of sucked in its own specific way, and I was writing down symptoms by week, and it might be really helpful for some of you who are in early pregnancy or are trying to conceive to know what it's like for somebody else. I will say I think I had it harder than most women, but at the same time I know there's a lot of women out there who had it a lot worse than me. So I'm going to just go ahead and jump into the symptoms. I do want to say real quick, I am so grateful to be pregnant and so grateful that we were able to conceive. I don't want it to seem like I'm totally just whining and complaining, but at the same time, I've had kind of a hard pregnancy and I wanted to just be upfront and real about that with you guys. Not all of us have perfect Instagram-worthy pregnancies. And so that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to be really real. I'm not trying to be just complaining. Okay, so week 4. So this is the week I missed my period. I started having cramping, but it was light cramping. It wasn't like really intense cramping like I normally would have. I normally kind of have bad cramps, and I normally would take birth control. And so when I was off my birth control for those couple months when I was trying to conceive, I was having just terrible cramps. And so my pregnancy cramps have been very mild compared to those. I did have sore boobs. That's something that's normal for me when I'm on my period, so I was kind of not too taken back by that. Food aversions. Oh man, did these hit me. I did not want to eat anything. No meat, no vegetables, which was a kind of my diet before. Like I didn't eat like a ton of red meat. I ate mainly like chicken and turkey and eggs for protein. And then I ate a ton of vegetables before. I tried to eat pretty healthy before, but man, when those food aversions hit me, I was like, maybe some carbs, maybe some cheese, like maybe, I don't even know. Like potato chips on a good day, like it got progressively worse, but I did not want to eat anything. And normally I have a pretty decent appetite, like to be honest, like I'm not one of those girls that like never ate, I was like 3 solid meals a day and 2 snacks. And then I did feel very emotional my 4th week. And I mean, just knowing you're pregnant kind of makes you emotional, but just like a little like maybe weepy, not like angry emotional, just like, I don't know, like a commercial would come on and I'd be like, oh. I definitely also had nausea in week 4. It got progressively worse. It wasn't terrible yet in week 4. I ended up getting some Preggie Pops. You can get those on Amazon. I'll actually link some down below so you know what I'm talking about. But those kind of helps take the edge off of it. The nausea got progressively worse, let me tell you. So that brings me into week 5. In week 5, the nausea got to the point where it was just hard to like live normal life. Like I would go to work and just feel awful. And Christmas was around this time, and I remember just feeling like, is this normal to feel this terrible? And I knew I was early to feel this terrible. And those pregnancy apps that like everyone downloads, like they tell you, oh, you'll probably not like get symptoms until week 6. Well, let me tell you, I was feeling terrible in week 5, like for sure. I actually did throw up once during week 5. It was when I was curling my hair before a Christmas party. I think I just got hot and that just like triggered it. Getting hot is definitely a trigger for me for my nausea. And I remember when it happened, I was just like, oh crap. This pregnancy might be harder than I thought it would be. I knew that some women got sick when they were pregnant, but I did not know you could feel terrible like 24/7. Man, it's rough. The food aversions definitely continued in week 5. I started losing weight in week 5. I think in my first trimester, I lost a total of 8 pounds at its worst. I was trying to eat for the sake of the baby, but man, it's just so hard when you just don't want to eat and like everything sounds disgusting. And like I would make myself eat crackers and I would hate them at the next day because I ate them the day before, and like, ugh, it was rough. Week 6, the actual throwing up started. Ugh, it sucked. I would throw up multiple times a day. At week 6, it was not worse in the morning. It was more like worse in the afternoon and evening. I was still going to work because I felt like I can't take off work for just pregnancy sickness. Like, who knows when this will end? Like, you know, I didn't have a ton of PTO left because it was just coming off the holidays. And so I would like throw up in my work trash can or in the public bathroom down the hall. It was pretty miserable, and I just felt miserable at work. I feel very blessed to like go to a job where I'm mainly at a desk, so I wasn't like super physical, because I don't know what I would have done. Like, I couldn't like just be walking around, or like a nurse. Like, I don't know how you guys do it when you're pregnant if you're sick. Like, I'm very grateful for the women who came before me who made it illegal to fire people for being pregnant or pregnancy related sickness. Because I know if I had a job that was more physical, I just couldn't have done it. And I mean, I was pretty miserable at my job anyway, but like, I was able to stick through it, but I know not everyone is able to. And yeah, it's hard out there, and it's hard to be a woman. Sorry, that was just kind of a random tangent. Week 7, I was still very miserable. Work was really hard. I would basically like go to work and get in bed, and like, me and my husband both were not expecting this. We were shocked that I was this sick, and then I went downhill so quickly. He would be like, "Are you really not going to eat dinner? Like, are you really just going to bed? It's like 5:30." And like, I was just so miserable. I could just like whimper in the fetal position in bed after work. Like, it was terrible. I really couldn't eat dinner. Like, I could kind of eat like some sort of lunch, but like in the evenings, I just felt so terrible. Week 7, I did have my first real doctor's appointment, so I got an ultrasound, which was so sweet to see the baby. It's a vaginal ultrasound that early, or it was for me anyway, which I had heard from a couple friends that was going to happen, but I mean, it was still super pleasant. And it was so sweet. The baby was tiny, but you could still see the little like leg stumps and arm stumps, and they were kind of like, seemed to be wiggling, and it was cool to see pictures, and it kind of made everything a little more worth it. Like, it put everything in perspective that I'm growing a human, and that's really awesome. And I also talked to my doctor about my miserable nausea, and she ended up giving me a Zofran prescription. She said that there were some other medications that I could try, but those make you very drowsy. And since I mainly needed the Zofran for work, she suggested that because I was already so tired anyway. Like, if I took a drowsy medication, I don't think I could have made it through the day. And I feel like I would have like swerved off the road driving home or something. So anyway, I started taking the Zofran. And the Zofran, I was really hoping was going to be like a miracle drug, and I'd feel so much better, and it just like solve all my problems, and it didn't. It kind of just took the edge off. It made me like mostly stop throwing up. I did notice like if I took more than one a day, I think one of the tablets last like 5 to 7 hours, so I would take it like just for work. If I took more than one a day, my stomach would really hurt, which is a symptom of the Zofran, so I mainly just took it for work, and then I would just kind of like suffer at night. At week 8, the morning nausea actually started. So before, I was just feeling worse like in the afternoons and evenings, and around week 8, I was actually throwing up in the mornings, which of course is a great way to start the day. So I would feel just like terrible in the mornings, and then I would try to take my Zofran kind of early, like maybe even before I left for work. So by the time I got to work, I was like a little less dead to the world, but like I was still throwing up in my work trash can or down the hall, and man, it was rough. And all this time, I was really having a hard time eating. So I knew I should be eating, and I was trying to for the baby's sake, but I just could not get much down. I was only really eating lunch. I could not handle eating at night. And the mornings were really hard too. I was trying to eat crackers or something because they say it's better to like not have your stomach empty, but like I hated crackers, and like I'm gluten intolerant anyway, so I was eating like gluten-free crackers, which can get really, really old. And oh yeah, but around week 9 I started to be able to eat a little better, which did, I think, make me feel better as well. I was still throwing up, I was still miserable, I was still exhausted, but I was able to eat like maybe 2 solid meals a day, like a solid lunch and then like a really early dinner. I found like if I got home from work at like 4:30 and I ate dinner right away, I could actually eat dinner, versus like if I tried to eat at 7, that was just not going to happen. And so I think just having like the food and the nutrients in me just gave me like a little more energy because before, man, even walking down the hallway at work was so hard. Week 10 was pretty similar. I still felt pretty crummy, but I was able to eat a little bit better. I would kind of go back and forth with my prenatal. Sometimes I would take like the pills and sometimes I would do the gummies. So the pills sometimes would make me throw up because they're just like giant pills, but the gummies would sometimes make me throw up because I was just not into anything sweet. And so the sweet gummies were just, ugh. So I kind of just took whatever I could that sounded the least terrible that day. Week 11 was still pretty similar, and I did have my second appointment during week 11. And let me tell you, I had the biggest scare. So she brought in the Doppler, and she was trying to hear the baby's heartbeat, which is kind of hard at 11 weeks anyway. And so she couldn't find it. And I was trying to like keep myself calm because she wasn't freaking out or anything. She was just like, oh, I'm gonna go get the ultrasound machine. You know, we're probably just having trouble finding it. And so she put the ultrasound on me and we saw the baby right away, and the baby was like kicking and wiggling its arms, and like it looked like he was almost jumping. I say he, but I don't know. And so the baby was clearly fine, and she was like, oh, I can see the heartbeat on here. He's fine. And so the baby was just sitting really low, so she couldn't find him with the Doppler. But it was a real scare for a solid 3 minutes. Like I'd been so miserable, but I also loved the little bugger. And oh my goodness. So I'm just glad everything's fine, and it was cool to be able to see the baby again, and the baby had gotten a lot bigger since the last ultrasound. So that was kind of fun. And I talked to my doctor again about medications, and she just kind of again said, you know, the Zofran's really the best option for work for you, since the other ones are drowsy and you're already tired. And she said you could take some of the other ones at night if you have trouble sleeping. Now, I honestly have no trouble sleeping. That has been one thing that has been nice, is I can like sleep a solid 12 hours, and I did many times, maybe even more than 12 hours, because I would go to bed at like 6 p.m. and like wake up at 7 a.m. So what is that, 13? Yeah, I'm a good sleeper. So for 12 weeks, I am rounding out the end of my 12 weeks, and I'm not throwing up as much. I've only thrown up 2 days this week. One day was kind of sucky. It was multiple times that day. But I have noticed I've had a little more energy this week. Felt a little less dead to the world. The nausea is still there, but I have little patches in the day where I'm a little less miserable. So I'm really hoping that I'm on the up and up. This has not been very fun. Like I said, I'm so grateful to be pregnant and to have this baby, but it has been hard. And I'm really hoping that as my first trimester ends, that I feel better. I've heard a lot of people, most feel better in the second trimester. Most don't feel sick the entire 9 months, but some do. I've had those friends and those family members that are sick the entire 9 months. And so I know that's a possibility too, but I'm trying to be positive and think positive. But yeah, just letting you guys know how it's been. Thank you guys so much for watching my video. I would love if you subscribed and hit the bell if you have not. And I'll see you in my next one.